It is very unfortunate that people who follow a religion are only confined to one aspect of the religion. And when they study their holy scriptures, they only know a very ordinary meaning of the word. Interpretation plays a pivotal role in understanding the holy scriptures. If you happen to rely on false interpretation of the holy scriptures, you will be utterly misled and misguided. And that is one thing that is causing problems among all religions of the world today. This is why there are a lot of divisions within the religion. Interpretation of the holy scriptures accepted by one group of people within a religion is not recognized by other group of people. And a majority of people who follow a religion only know the sacred law of the religion. What is missing from their lives is the path and knowledge of the path that leads to God. Ironically, hardly anybody is bothered about the path that leads to God. Not many people are interested in God. An overwhelming majority of people who follow a religion are only interested in the reward, in the paradise, beautiful damsels. Therefore, people did not strive to look for the deeper meaning of the divine word. Whatever was available to them, they were happy to have found that. And every single person has developed the attitude of holier than thou in such a situation where everybody thinks that I am holier than everybody else. This very thought of self-righteousness has really created a spiritual havoc all around the religions of the world. Especially this phrase is very important. Stick it to your mind. Holier than thou attitude. Self-righteousness. I am better than everybody else. This is causing a lot of problem. One main problem is when you think you're holier than others, you don't improve yourself. The only time you will improve in yourself is when you know you lack in many things or you lack in anything. But if you think you do not lack in anything, you're perfect. You have sort of closed the doors on you. But there's a famous saying, there is always room for improvement. This ideology have been thrown out of the window. There is always room for improvement. Nobody thinks on these wavelengths anymore. This holier than thou attitude has to come to an end in order to progress. If one keeps on believing that he is holier than others, it will never work. And we have unfortunately become so judgmental. If somebody is speaking on religion and his attire is not in accordance with the religious code, they think this person doesn't know anything. And if one grows beard, put a turban on the head, and he put on a religious gear and he sits there like an idiot and he doesn't say much, people will respect you because people are going for the appearance. But they say appearances can be deceptive. But I think appearances are always deceptive. Yesterday, a gentleman asked me a question. What is the difference between the sacred law and the path? Meaning, what's the difference between Sharia and Tariqah? And he asked a question whether both types of knowledge can go together hand in hand. And my answer was, yes, Tariqah doesn't stop you. The path doesn't stop you from observing the law. But obviously there are some riders like Amjad Bhai who want to speed up on the, deserted highway. But you're still on the path. You reach the destination quicker if you survive. So I would like to explain to you what are the differences between the sacred law and the path. Because it's all about practice. It's all about practicality. It's not phraseology. It's not about listening to a beautiful, educated orator and he tells you stories and you enjoy those stories and you fall asleep. In spirituality, it's all about action. And one has to go against his desires. When we hear these words, go against the desires, the impact of the words are not so much as you would see when you actually practically go against your desires. Then you come to know the story. Going against your own desires, negating yourself, not you, your lower self, not you. A lot of people have developed this notion that one practices spirituality and he has to be a very poor man. He has to have no facilities or comfort of life or luxuries of life available to him. And if he does have some kind of comfort in his life, some kind of luxury in his life, that person's claim of being a spiritual man is just fake. People think it's a pseudo-claimant of Sufism. He doesn't know Sufism because they only heard about Sufis who lived in jungles, who ate 3-day-old bread in boiling hot water. And in order to give their taste buds some sensation, they would add some salt. That's all they have heard about Sufis. And those who have read Rumi, they're always expecting a miracle to be performed by the spiritual guide. That's not Sufism. The most important thing in Sufism is to purify the lower self, the root of all evil. And obviously it's not a one-day job, is it? It's not a one-week job. In Christianity, those who would dedicate themselves to God, they would become hermit. And look at the women who become nuns. They're completely cut off from social life. They dedicate themselves to the divine service. Why? But today in this modern world, if one is giving more time to his spiritual progression, they think, oh, he's become mad. He's become fanatic. He's always into spirituality. What about nuns and hermits and all these people? Go to Rome, Vatican City. People have dedicated their lives, haven't they? But we live in a free world, don't we? We live in a free world. If you want to dedicate your life to something that you like, you should be allowed to do it. Why others are offended? This is not fanaticism, is it? It's not. It's just that you have become determined to sacrifice your comforts, and in return, what you're going to get is God's love, which you can't buy at Tesco's. Not even at Waitrose, which is slightly more expensive than Tesco's and Sainsbury's. So in the path, you learn to become determined. You learn the art of dedication. You learn to become honest with yourself. You don't live like a sheep or a cow. And a sheep and a cow doesn't know why they're living, do they? If I ask you, why are you living? And you say, I'm just living. I mean, what's the difference between you and a sheep? You should know what the purpose of your life is. I asked somebody a question, what's the purpose of your life? He was an engineer, and he said, I'm an engineer. Okay, this is not purpose of your life. If you took biology, you would have become a doctor. So that cannot be your purpose in life. Your purpose in life is, why were you born? This is the question that everybody should ask himself or herself every day. Why was I born in this world? Because I asked myself a question. Why was I born without my own permission? I wasn't consulted before I was thrown into this world. Were you consulted? So this is the problem. But then a day came in my life when I really came to know that I was consulted. I just didn't know because my soul was dormant. I wouldn't know it. My soul would know it, why my soul was sent into this world. So the moment your soul is awake and fully conscious and enlightened, your soul will tell you the purpose of its existence, the purpose of its presence in this world. The purpose of the soul cannot be served by merely going to the church or the mosque or a temple a few times a week. It's just to show off. You take a shower, you think you have become clean. Only your skin has become clean after the shower. People dip themselves into Ganga river and they think they have become pavitra. No. Going to Mecca, going to Ganga, going to Vatican, nothing will purify you. Only God's name will purify you. And God's name doesn't have a habit of self popping up and jumping into your heart. You need to find somebody who can fix your heart, who can place God's name in your heart, and then teach your heart the art of synchronization.
TV, bringing light, love, and peace in your life.